What's up, everybody? It's your boy Phil Porto, photographer, videographer, and educator. And today on the channel, we're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. And some people love it, some people hate it, some are very skeptical about it. But either way, it's a thing. And so today, we're going to talk about AI editing with a program called Imagen AI. So as long as I can remember, I was anti the idea of handing over my photos to be edited. I always felt like this is my baby. This is what I do. These are my photos. I have to start and finish the process. I have to take them. I have to edit them. Well, over time, things got super busy, and I realized that I really couldn't do it. Even though this is my craft, even though this is my style, even though these are my presets, it is taking me a lot of time away from the things that I could be doing to grow my business, take care of my clients better, and also, most importantly, spend more time with my family. So I was at a roadblock of what I wanted to do. So I had to figure it out. And what I realized was, okay, if these are my photos and my edits and my style, how do I make it that is not sacrificed? So what I did is I actually brought people on who were either on my team or brought them onto my team for this purpose, and I would edit 2 or 3 photos from every part of the wedding day. And I would then have them duplicate that throughout the collection, and that's what I would pay them to do. I would pay them to edit the rest of the photos, but at least they had the basis of what I would have done. They at least have my preset, and they're able to duplicate as best as they could what I would have done. Then they would submit the collection, I would go through them and make any changes that I needed to. And this worked for a while. Like, this was actually really good. My couples were able to get their, collections within a few weeks instead of towards the end of their, contract or midpoint of their contract. And so that was exciting for me, to be able to do that. It was exciting for me to be able to pay some team members some extra money or bring on some editors that were in the community that I was friends with. But like everything in life, things change. I went from having a team to then downsizing after everything that happened with my surgery, and the people that I had, that weren't part of the team that were editing, they also needed more work that I really couldn't give them anymore since I didn't have a team. They had to look elsewhere and take on some other jobs, so I understood that did not work out, and I went back to me editing everything. And after having that flexibility of being able to focus on other areas in the business and spend more time with the family, this was a little bit of a struggle for me, but it was what I needed to do. So I jumped back into it, and I was constantly editing, constantly delivering photos, constantly culling through photos. And then I got into a conversation with a good friend of mine. You guys know him as John Branch for photography. And so I was talking to John about that being kind of a burden at times, not being able to really create YouTube content, not really being able to explore new things that I was trying to do for the Portos and for Philip Porto and for That's the Spirit. And he told me about this program called Imagen AI that he connected with, and was telling me that, this is a program that you send your photos to, and then instantly, within a few minutes, they will send back your photos. And he said it was like 70 to 80% accurate, or a little more depending on how many times you use them. And so I was interested. So I started talking to the representatives at Imagen AI, and they were like, we would love to partner with you. Like, we would love to actually get something done. And I was like, all right, let's give this a shot. So I will say that when you first start with Imagen AI, it is a process. You have 2 options. You can either have them just designate you a profile, a style, a look, and they kind of go from there, and then we'll make kind of tweaks there. That might be for someone that maybe doesn't really have an exact look that they need to stick to. And then the other option is they build a profile based off of your look, off of your photos, off of your collections, off of your preset. And I knew that's what I had to do. So it takes some time because you have to upload a lot of collections, and you have to upload a lot of photos that show your look and show what you would do in an editing situation. So the fact that I have tons and tons of drives, I kind of had to go through them and find all the best collections that I wanted to submit to kind of give them my profile. However, once all that was set up and done, I called the new collection, uploaded it, and the results were absolutely nuts. So first of all, yes, they do call collections. The reason I would not have that happen is I take a lot of photos that the couples will tell me are important. The couples will trust me with certain things, and I don't ever want that to be missed by a person or by a program. And so there's certain things that I do intentionally that may seem like the image is out of focus, or that there's an effect on it that the artificial program might overlook, and I can't have that happen. So I personally called it, but if those things don't really matter to you, it calls it as well, which is absolutely crazy. But I got it up there, and the results were nuts. The collection uploaded, and within 10 minutes, yes, 10 freaking minutes, I got an email back that said, hey, your photos are ready to review. And in saying that, I feel like an HSN, like Home Shopping Network commercial, like in 10 minutes or less? Yes, 10 minutes or less. And 9 times out of 10, that is garbage when you actually read that or hear that on one of those channels. But this is true. It was actually 10 minutes or so that I went upstairs, got something, came back down, and my photos were ready to review. And I was amazed at that turnaround time. So here's what I saw when I opened the collection. First, it had a pretty good read on my style. The blacks were the way that I want them. The contrast was the way that I want them. The greens were crushed the way that I liked them. It was a little more green than it was magenta, which is the way that I prefer it. The exposure was a little bit more than I typically do. I like it a little bit darker. The warmth was a little warmer than I normally do, which is a little bit rare for me because I prefer my images to be pretty stinking warm. But I know these are things that'll get fixed as I resubmit collections, because once you make any additional edits, you re-upload the collection, and that helps with your profile. So I know that as I continue to do this, it'll actually make my profile a little more accurate, and those kind of things will easily get fixed. So all it really took was a little bit of minor adjustments on my end to actually have a collection the way that I would be completely satisfied with, which is the same thing that I did when I was working with team members or people that I hired. Another thing that was extremely exciting was that I got to get my photos to my couple within a few days instead of a few weeks. And that is a great way to surprise and delight your clients, is being able to say, hey, you got baller work in such a short period of time. Write about it in a review. Like, your reviews are going to skyrocket with this app. And the best and most important thing for me is that it is my style. They used my images, they used my collections, they used my presets to create what this edit would look like. So I can actually say that this is me. This is what I would do. This is how I would deliver a collection. I'm not settling for something that is subpar. I'm actually delivering something that I'm excited about and something that I am pleased with. So now let's talk about the downsides. It is still a new program. And like anything, when something is new, there's kinks that have to be worked out. There's things that are going to get better. And so I had to remind myself, and I'll remind anyone that tries it, there has to be some grace in this area. You know, things are never perfect immediately when they're created. Even as a photographer, we know that we get better as time goes by. And so this app is actually something that excites me because I know it's only going to get better from what it is now, which is already something that I'm extremely pleased with. Second, the crop and straightening tool. So I used this on the second edit that I did, and I honestly wish I didn't, because it was nowhere close to what I would have wanted for a crop or an edit. It was pretty off, to be honest. This is the one thing that I would say was like a big fail when it came to the app. So this is not something that I will continue to use for the time being. One thing that I will say and give credit to Imagen about is that when I spoke to the rep, she said this is something they are already working on. They plan on it improving over time once they get to know images a little bit more. And once the program starts to develop more and people use the crop and straightening tool more. Me personally, I'm not going to use it because I had to go back and undo all the crop and straightening, and that put a little more time than I want to put into it if I'm working with this app. So that will not be something that I currently use until, I get feedback from the rep that it has been improved. Other than that, I really had no issues. The fact that I can upload a collection and within 10 minutes get a product that's 80 to 90% ready to be delivered is mind-blowing to me. Like, it's incredible. It makes me extremely happy to have that opportunity, because I know that this means that I just have to go through what I did with the last collection, went through, added some black and white, sprinkled in throughout the collection, did some crops and some straightenings on ones that I knew that needed to be cropped and straightened, changed the exposure on a few images, and that was it. And so that makes me excited to continue to use the app. I know that it's going to free up time for me to be able to do things like this video right here. It's going to free up the opportunity for me to create more. And most of all, it's going to free up time for me to spend with my family. And I know that they're going to love that, and that is the most important thing to me. So I would encourage you guys to check out Imagen AI. You might love it, you might hate it, but don't knock it until you try it. Like, for someone who has been skeptical in the past about things like this, I will say I was really, really impressed, and I will continue to use the program. So I've included a link in the description. If you want to check it out, click it, sign up, let me know how your experience was, and I would gladly give that feedback to my rep as well. So thank you so much, and look forward to our next video, and until next time, God bless.